Tonight, Goodwill raises the prices of their film cameras, and apparently I'm responsible for it. I resist the temptation to visit the pub before at least filming the drone shots. And I've got the poor man's Olympus Mju II / Stylus Epic. The Minolta Freedom 3, along with Fujifilm 200.
Sorry about that.
The Minolta Freedom 3 here comes to us from the late 1980s, but I'm not quite sure on the year. Especially with this one in particular, as it lacks the quartz dates back. What I do know is that it has a single focal length of 35 millimeters, an aperture of f2.8, which on a camera of this stature and price is quite remarkable. The 35mm lens consists of 4 elements in 4 groups, with a minimum focusing distance of 0.65 meters. Now, it's a fully auto compact camera, more commonly referred to as a point and shoot. Unlike most point and shoots I've used, however, this one doesn't use a CR123A. This instead has the option to use 4 AAA alkaline cells or a single 6-volt DL223A lithium battery pack. As an automatic point and shoot, the only option to set the camera's light meter is through the use of DX-coded film cassettes, or otherwise it'll just default to ISO 100. As far as that's concerned, it'll take films as slow as ISO 25 and as fast as ISO 1600. At ISO 100, this is specified as shooting with an EV as low as 8.4 and as high as 18. We're talking 1/40th of a second at f2.8 to 1/800th of a second at f18. And as far as lower light levels are concerned, I haven't tested that either. But since about 98% of the time I'm using something like this during the day, I've decided to test this one with Fujifilm Kodak 200. And while the sun's shining in the middle of June. Initial impressions of the negative scans here on the Epson Perfection V700 photo with the Hamrick's ViewScan 9.6.47. The images, I would say, at least somewhat decent, if not at least passable as far as quality goes. I wouldn't call this the poor man's Olympus Mju II or Stylus Epic for nothing. I mean, think about it. 35mm f2.8. Sliding lens cover. Built-in flash, active autofocus, point and shoot operation, durable, pocketable, It's basically the same thing. And to do one better, this doesn't need expensive CR123As. You just need 4 AAA cells. And although this is spec'd for 6 volts from 4 or 1.5 volt alkaline cells in series, this thing ran just fine off the 4.8 volts from the 4 nickel metal hydride rechargeable batteries I used of the Eneloop brand. Got a couple shots left on the roll, but I honestly don't even know. It's a tough decision. I mean it.
For someone that you trust and you like I spend every look up to you, like you spend the night in the house, you go to
I can imagine that's kind of trip it too. 35 on this thing means the end is nigh on the roll, and I didn't bring another roll of film with me, so I mean this video is going to be titled with 1 roll of film, not 2, not 3, not more than 1, just 1. So with cameras like these, in a 36 exposure roll of film, you'll oftentimes, or at least sometimes, be gifted a 37th exposure. It's either A, use it wisely, or B, trash it because the negative holders, the sleeves that I have, only hold 36 shots. So is there anywhere for the 37th to go after all this stuff? Probably not. You know what? I do like that this is rather compact for an f2.8 full-frame camera. 35mm focal length sits right on the cusp of wide and normal and is one of the traditional mainstays of 135 format photography. I also quite like the sliding lens cover. And obviously enough, the option to run this off cheaper AAAs rather than lithium cells that you can't dispose of that easily. Best of all, this thing actually left a little bit of the film leader out when it rewound the film. Makes it easier for me to process. At least one thing to not like about this, though, is the minimum shutter of 1/40th of a second. It won't go any slower. That, to me, combined with the metering for only up to ISO 1600, makes it useless for any serious nighttime photography. Another thing to not like, there is no option to turn off the flash. There's an option to, however, turn the flash on for daylight when it would normally auto off, but that would be the fill flash option. There is no flash off on this. I suppose really though, if I want to do some night photography, I need to bring out a proper camera. Like my Pentax over here. This is the Super program. It's like a slightly newer version of an ME Super, which in turn is like a newer version of a K1000. But this one in particular needs some CLA. A point and shoot, like this Minolta Freedom 3 on the other hand, however, is so cheaply made that a CLA job will easily exceed the cost of just buying another one. And on that disappointment, it's time to trash the script and end